It was a warm afternoon in Tampa, Florida, and the community center was buzzing with activity. Pam Bondi had just finished speaking at a local charity event focused on helping underprivileged children. Dressed in a simple yet elegant navy blue blazer and white blouse, she was making her way through the crowd, shaking hands and chatting with attendees. Among the sea of people, a little girl, no older than 7, stood near the front, clutching a worn-out teddy bear. Her blonde curls bounced as she timidly stepped forward, her wide blue eyes filled with curiosity. Her name was Emma, and she had been listening intently to Pam's speech, though she didn't fully understand everything. But one thing had stuck with her: Pam's mention of faith and perseverance. Taking a deep breath, Emma tugged at Pam's sleeve. Pam turned around and smiled warmly, kneeling down to meet her at eye level. "Hey there, sweetheart. What's your name?" Pam asked, her voice gentle. "Emma," the little girl replied softly, hugging her teddy bear tighter. Pam nodded. "That's a beautiful name, Emma. What's on your mind?" The little girl hesitated for a moment, then blurted out a question that caught everyone nearby off guard. "Do you think God really listens to us?" For a brief moment, the room seemed to quiet. A few people turned their heads, curious to hear how Pam would respond. Some adults exchanged glances, realizing how profound the question was, coming from someone so young. Pam's expression softened, and she placed a gentle hand on Emma's shoulder. She could tell this wasn't just a random question. It was something that truly weighed on the little girl's heart. That's a very important question, Emma," Pam said thoughtfully. "And I promise you, he does." Emma's lower lip quivered slightly. "But my mommy says we pray and pray, but nothing changes. My daddy, he left, and mommy cries a lot. She says God doesn't hear her." Pam felt a lump form in her throat. She could see the pain behind Emma's words, and her heart ached for the little girl and her mother. Taking a deep breath, she gently took Emma's small hands into her own. "Emma, sometimes it feels like God isn't listening because things don't happen right away. But I promise you, he hears every single word, every tear, and every wish in your heart. Sometimes his answers don't come the way we expect, but they do come." Emma stared at her for a moment, her young mind trying to process Pam's words. "But how do you know?" she whispered. Pam smiled, her own childhood memories flashing through her mind, times when she had felt lost, times when she had questioned everything. She knew that faith wasn't always easy, especially in difficult moments. "Because, Emma," Pam said, her voice filled with warmth, "I've been where you are. And I've seen him work in ways I never expected." Emma's little brows furrowed in curiosity. "You have?" Pam nodded. "I have. And if you want, I can tell you a story about a time when I thought God wasn't listening. But he was." Emma's eyes lit up with interest, and she gave a small nod. The crowd around them remained silent, drawn into the moment. Pam Bondi took a deep breath and prepared to share a personal story, one that would not only touch Emma's heart, but leave a lasting impact on everyone who was listening. The air in the community center felt still, as if time had momentarily paused. People who had been busy chatting or scrolling through their phones were now paying close attention. Even the volunteers at the back had stopped what they were doing, their eyes on Pam and little Emma. Pam gave the girl a reassuring squeeze on her hands before settling in, her voice calm but full of meaning. "You know, Emma, when I was about your age, I went through something really hard too. My daddy was a Marine, and sometimes he had to leave for a long time. I missed him so much, and I prayed every night for him to come home sooner. But no matter how much I prayed, he was still gone for months." Emma's blue eyes widened. "Did you think God wasn't listening?" Pam nodded slightly. "Oh, yes. I remember one night I was so sad that I told my mama I didn't think God cared about my prayers. And you know what she told me?" Emma shook her head. Pam smiled softly. She said, "Sweetheart, just because you don't see God working doesn't mean he isn't. Sometimes he's answering in ways we don't understand yet." Emma bit her lip, hugging her teddy bear tighter. "So, did your daddy come home?" Pam took a deep breath. "He did, and when he did, he told me that while he was gone, he had prayed for me just as much as I prayed for him. And that reminded me, sometimes God's plan is bigger than what we can see." Emma stared down at the floor, deep in thought. "So, even if my prayers don't get answered right away, that doesn't mean God isn't listening." Pam nodded. "That's right, sweetheart. And you know what? Sometimes God sends people into our lives to remind us we're not alone." Emma's gaze lifted to meet Pam's, something hopeful glimmering in her eyes. "Like you?" she asked in a small voice. Pam felt her throat tighten. She hadn't expected that response, but it touched her deeply. She reached out and gently tucked a stray curl behind Emma's ear. "Maybe," she said with a warm smile. "Or maybe like your mommy. Even on the hardest days, she's still there, loving you, protecting you." "That's no accident, Emma. That's love, and love is one of the ways God reminds us he's here." A hush had fallen over the room, the usual clatter of dishes, the hum of casual conversation. Everything had faded into the background as people hung onto Pam Bondi's words. Emma, still clutching her teddy bear, sat quietly, her young mind absorbing every word. Pam gave her a warm smile. "Sweetheart, God is always listening, even when we don't hear him the way we expect. Sometimes he answers through other people, through small moments, just like this one." Emma hesitated before whispering, "I just wanted to know if he still cares about me." Pam felt a lump rise in her throat. She reached out and gently took Emma's hands in hers. "Oh, Emma, he does, more than you'll ever know. And you know what? You just proved something really special." The little girl tilted her head. "What do you mean?" "You came up here with a question that so many people, even adults, wonder about every day. And because you were brave enough to ask, now everyone here is thinking about it too. Sometimes, when we seek answers, we help others find them too." A soft murmur spread through the crowd. Some nodded, others exchanged glances, and a few even wiped their eyes. It was clear that Pam's words had touched more than just one little girl. Emma's mother, who had been standing near the back, finally stepped forward. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears as she knelt down beside her daughter. "Thank you, Ms. Bondi," she said, her voice thick with emotion. Pam reached over and squeezed her hand. "Your daughter has a beautiful heart. She's going to do great things one day." Emma, still holding onto her teddy bear, suddenly leaned in and wrapped her small arms around Pam's waist. The unexpected hug caught Pam off guard, but she quickly returned the embrace, holding Emma close. As the two parted, Emma looked up, her expression lighter than before. "I think I feel better now." Pam chuckled softly. "Good. And remember, sweetheart, whenever you're scared or unsure, you just talk to him. He's always listening." The little girl nodded, a small, grateful smile spreading across her face. As Pam stood up, she noticed something remarkable. People around the room weren't just watching anymore. They were moved. Some whispered prayers, others exchanged knowing glances. It was as if, in that one simple conversation, a ripple of faith had spread through the entire gathering. Emma and her mother walked back to their seats, and as Pam glanced at the crowd, she knew this moment, this conversation, had been an answered prayer. Maybe not just for Emma, but for many others as well. A simple question from an innocent child turned into something so much bigger, a reminder that faith, kindness, and understanding still have a place in this world. Pam Bondi didn't just answer a question. She gave Emma hope, reassurance, and a moment she will never forget. Sometimes, the most profound wisdom comes not from speeches or debates, but from quiet conversations between a child searching for answers and someone willing to listen. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories like this. And remember, kindness, faith, and standing for what you believe in can change lives in ways you never expect. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.